Republicans' Default on America Act, DOA, cannot possibly be called a real plan for resolving the default crisis. The DOA reads more like a threat coming directly from the House Freedom Caucus. Either Republicans will force a default on the debt, or they will force steep cuts, highly unpopular with the American people, for law enforcement, veterans, families, teachers, kids. Let's be perfectly clear. The Republican Default on America Act does nothing to actually resolve the looming debt crisis, and it has no hope of ever becoming law. If anything, the House's actions have made the likelihood of default more likely. It locks the House into an unacceptable position and pulls us even further apart. And this shows the real solution is a clean, bipartisan plan to avoid default. It's the same one both parties have adopted many times before. That is the solution, not this Default on America Act that's going nowhere. If Republicans want to sell this terrible agenda to the American people, they should make their case in talks about the budget and appropriations, where it belongs, not by using the full faith and credit of the United States as a hostage. So let me say that again. The Republican Default on America Act does nothing to resolve the default crisis and, in fact, makes it only more likely. The Default on America Act, which the House just passed, is not a step forwards, but rather a costly step backwards. Speaker McCarthy has claimed for months he wants to negotiate on avoiding default. But according to reports, he's saying the opposite behind closed doors. Per at least one GOP House member, Speaker McCarthy called this radical bill a floor, not a ceiling. That's what he told the hard-right members whose votes he needed. The Speaker has reportedly promised his right flank that moving forward, he will oppose any measure that doesn't have every single hard-right priority considered in this bill. In other words, to say this bill is a floor, not a ceiling, is a threat to make the GOP bill even more extreme and avoid any alternative. If these reports are true, then Speaker McCarthy has made clear he has no intention of negotiating. The Speaker can't say his bill is a floor, not a ceiling, and also claim he wants to negotiate.
Wow, friends, action is being taken. Republicans have just laid out a new plan to address the nation's debt ceiling. But many are now warning how this bill could have big consequences. Some have even said that this bill could interfere with the country's ability to issue Social Security payments. My dearest friends, can you please make sure that you watch until the end of this video? Also, in 2 days, I will be announcing several winners for the Walmart gift card giveaway of $75. If you would like to enter the weekly giveaway, my dear friends, all you have to do is click and like several of my videos and then comment below the keyword of each video that you watch. The more videos that you comment on, my dear friends, the greater your chances of winning the giveaways. As Republicans scramble to put a plan together to fix the nation's debt limit, experts are warning a failure to address the issue may have dire consequences for Americans' finances. Today, U.S. Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen said in a speech, "In my assessment, and that of economists across the board, a default on our debt would produce an economic and financial catastrophe." Yellen also said, "It is also unlikely that the federal government would be able to issue payments to millions of Americans, including our military families and seniors who rely on Social Security. A default on the U.S. debt would be unprecedented, as the country has paid all its bills on time since 1789. The extraordinary nature of such an event has called into question how the U.S. government would juggle payments, including Social Security benefit checks." Jason Fitner, a former Social Security Administration executive, told CNBC News, "The U.S. Department of Treasury would likely prioritize the payment of Social Security benefit checks. However, it is possible the Social Security Administration would delay payments to ensure it has enough cash on hand. And more broadly, the Bipartisan Policy Center is watching the X-date range, the point by which when leaders need to act to protect the U.S. economy. The U.S. hit its statutory debt limit in January, prompting it to start paying the government's obligations through extraordinary measures. But it can only do that for so long. Yellen previously said it is unlikely the cash will be exhausted before early June. In February, the Congressional Budget Office said the emergency measures to prevent a default may be exhausted sometime between July and September of 2023. So the Bipartisan Policy Center is currently working on a new X-date projection that would factor in delayed income from federal tax returns that have been deferred until this October. But while Social Security payments may still go out, others are very worried about the ramifications the Republicans' proposed spending plan may have on the Social Security Administration's funding. So, dear friends, what are your thoughts about what's going on in our government? Please let me know what your thoughts are in the comments section below. Now, this week, congressional Democrats also took aim at proposed cuts to renewable energy tax credits and Inflation Reduction Act programs in the House GOP's debt ceiling plan. Democrats have frequently presented the spending cuts in the bill as a detriment to job growth and said they would hurt energy investments in Republican states and localities. Democratic Representative Veronica Escobar referenced recent efforts by Midwestern Republican members to preserve ethanol subsidies in the bill, saying they indicated GOP awareness of what is at stake for red states in some of the cuts that Republicans are pushing for. Senator Sheldon Whitehouse, one of the most vocal advocates of the climate provisions in the final Inflation Reduction Act bill, also added that many of these Republican members have been home in their districts taking credit for the new projects, that these tax credits started in their districts. The package of spending cuts presented by Speaker Kevin McCarthy as a condition to increase the federal debt limit and avoid a default would repeal a number of renewable energy tax credits, including major provisions of the Inflation Reduction Act. Senator Joe Manchin is stepping up his feud with President Biden by threatening to support a repeal of Biden's landmark climate and prescription reform bill, which is the Inflation Reduction Act, which Senator Manchin largely crafted last summer. Manchin thought he had a deal with the Biden administration to allow more investment in fossil fuel production over the next decade, but he doesn't think the president is holding up to his end of the bargain. But according to The Hill, there is no chance of a repeal bill passing Congress before 2025, as Democrats control the White House and Senate and view President Biden's climate investments and prescription reforms as a major achievement. Well, my magnificent and marvelous friends, that is the end of my daily stimulus update video for today. Thank you, dear friends, for being part of this community and for being here every single day. To say thank you and to show my appreciation, I will be announcing several winners this coming Friday for the Walmart gift card giveaway. If you'd like to enter the weekly giveaway, friends, all you have to do is click and like several of my videos and then comment below the keyword of each video that you watch. The more videos that you comment on, my dear friends, the greater your chances of winning the giveaways. Thank you and have a wonderful and very blessed week.